بعد أن أطلق حزب الله 6 قذائف صاروخية، يبدو أن إسرائيل لم تفوت الفرصة من أجل توجيه ضربات له، هذا بطبيعة الحال بالتوازي مع القصف المتبادل مع الجانب الإيراني. للاستيضاح أكثر حول هذا الموضوع يسرنا استضافة السيدة سريت زهافي، المديرة العامة لمركز ألما للأبحاث، وأنت أشغلت أيضا في السابق مناصب عسكرية استخبارية كبيرة. كيف تقيمين الوضع الآن بين إسرائيل وبين حزب الله مع استمرار الضربات حتى من الطرف الآخر من الجانب اللبناني إلى إسرائيل؟
There was a huge pressure from Iran on Hezbollah to take part in this war and to attack Israel. At the same time, there was a lot of frustration among Hezbollah by the Israeli attacks against Hezbollah in the past year and a half. And these two factors together made a decision inside Hezbollah to attack Israel. Now, we hear the plans above us, and throughout the night we heard the blasts here inside Lebanon of the IDF attacks. And we understand there are hundreds of attacks. So by the amount of attacks of the IDF against Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, we can learn how much weapons is still in the hands of Hezbollah. The rockets that Hezbollah launched, the drones that Hezbollah launched, even anti-tank missiles that Hezbollah launched yesterday and wounded some of our soldiers were launched from south of the Litani River in an area that the Lebanese government declared that is empty of any weapons of Hezbollah.
وهذا بطبيعة الحال بعد أن كان هنالك يعني قصف مكثف من قبل الجانب الإسرائيلي منذ أن تم التوصل إلى وقف لإطلاق النار في نوفمبر من عام 24. هل بتقييمك وبتقديرك أن حزب الله بإمكانه الاستمرار بالقصف باتجاه البلدات الإسرائيلية في المنظور القريب أو البعيد؟
Hezbollah is capable of launching tens of rockets almost every day for a few weeks. Look, when the war ended, back then in November 2024, Hezbollah was still holding about 25,000 rockets and about 1,000 drones, maybe even more. So even though we attacked him after the ceasefire and we had an offensive of 3 months, Hezbollah still had a lot of weapons and it is using it now against us. I hope that the IDF will do what it has to do to enter or to attack all the areas that were not attacked and were not disarmed by nobody in South Lebanon. We only disarmed Hezbollah in the areas next to the border. Lebanese government did nothing to disarm Hezbollah. only PR.
ولكنها تحدثت يعني قبل فترة وجيزة أنه جنوب الليطاني تم إخلاء هذه المناطق من الأسلحة لحزب الله.
No, this is a lie. The Lebanese government didn't disarm Hezbollah in those areas because it didn't enter into the houses and it didn't enter into the villages. And they entered very few times. Well, there was a lot of pressure from Israel, and even in those times, they coordinated the entrance to those buildings with Hezbollah.
طيب، تثار تساؤلات كثيرة بشأن هدف العملية العسكرية الحالية للجيش الإسرائيلي في لبنان. الجيش يقول إن الهدف من ذلك حماية سكان الشمال، لكن هنالك قراءات مختلفة لجدوى هذه العملية. هل لك أن توضحي ما هي وجهة نظرك من العملية العسكرية التي يقوم بها الجيش الإسرائيلي؟ هل سيكون هنالك مزيد من السيطرة في داخل الأراضي اللبنانية على سبيل المثال؟
Look, we don't know exactly what the IDF is planning, whether to only satisfy with airstrikes, and the entrance of the IDF into the areas next to the border is not a maneuver. Okay, it's just protecting, as you said, the civilians next to the border, creating a buffer, making sure that Hezbollah is not capable of infiltrating to those communities, and we can see them behind us here. These are communities that are literally at the border. Or no anti-tank missiles that are being launched into those communities, as the situation was during the previous war. So I don't know whether IDF will decide to go to a ground maneuver as well. But if this will happen, remember my words, I totally understand why. Because we learned from Gaza and from South Lebanon that you cannot neutralize all the weapons that are hidden inside the homes or under the homes by airstrikes. And Lebanese army didn't do it.
طب يعني أنت لا تستبعدين أن يكون هنالك مناورة برية في داخل الأراضي اللبنانية، لكن بالعودة إلى ترسانة الصواريخ التي يعني تتواجد لدى حزب الله، هل بحسب التقييمات والمعلومات التي يعني أنت مطلع عليها بإمكان الحزب أن يواصل في قصفه وضربه يعني منشآت استراتيجية أيضا في داخل إسرائيل وليس فقط إطلاق قذائف صاروخية؟
Hezbollah, when the war ended, was incapable of launching an invasion like what Hamas had done in October 7th. But Radwan Brigade still exists, and we didn't kill all of them, and they were training. And this is one of the reasons why IDF was deployed all over the borderline now to prevent an infiltration of terrorists into the communities next to the border. It's not 100%. We know that as Israelis, it's not 100%. But the capability exists within the hands of Hezbollah, and IDF is prepared on the ground to try to block it. This is with regard to infiltration. With regard to accurate weapons, which are the anti-tank missiles, I want to make sure that everybody understands. We cannot intercept anti-tank missiles. There are no sirens when these are launched, so there is no technology to defend civilians that are attacked by anti-tank missiles. That's why we emptied the communities last time. This time we decided, instead of emptying the communities, which caused a lot of damages, to keep the civilians there and to bring the IDF to defend them.
وبدلا من ذلك إخلاء السكان في الطرف الآخر في لبنان.
That's correct. We warned the population in Lebanon to leave those areas because inside their homes and inside those villages Hezbollah is hiding those weapons.
ولكن بطبيعة الحال يعني أيضا بحسب تقييمات الجيش الإسرائيلي أحد أهداف الإخلاء في الطرف الآخر هو ممارسة الضغط على حزب الله من قبل الشارع اللبناني. إلى أي مدى بتقييمك هذا الضغط يمكن أن يؤثر على قرارات حزب الله؟
This is in the hands of the Lebanese. I don't know, and this is a question that I ask every day in the past 20 years. I don't know what's the level of support of the Muslim Shiite in Lebanon in Hezbollah after everything that it had done to it. Because Hezbollah still preserve its civilian infrastructures. We bombed the banks, that's correct, but we bombed them last time as well, and they rebuilt them. And nobody bombed the schools, of course. They still exist. The Lebanese government is not closing them. The medical services, the Boy Scouts, the afternoon activities, everything, every service that you can imagine is in the hands of Hezbollah, and the Muslim Shiites of Lebanon are basically depends on Hezbollah. This is something that Israel is not going to solve. This is internal issue in Lebanon. Hezbollah should be designated as a terrorist entity in Lebanon, just like the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt. And that way, it will bring to a true change in Lebanon. As long as Hezbollah is a legitimate political party and can still hold all its civilian infrastructures, even with the fall of the Ayatollahs of Iran, it will still exist armed in Lebanon, and we will have to fight it again and again, and that's very unfortunate. Maybe it will not become as dangerous as it used to be if we will get rid of the Ayatollahs of Iran. Maybe it will not have the same amount of weapons, but it will not disappear as a militia if Lebanon will not do what it has to do.
وهذا ينقلني إلى السؤال، ما دمت تذكرين يعني النظام الإيراني، هذا ينقلني إلى السؤال التالي: في حال انتهت العملية العسكرية بين إسرائيل وبين إيران، هل بتقييمك أن العملية ستستمر مع لبنان باعتبار أن إسرائيل يعني تقول ذلك صراحة تريد استغلال الفرصة؟
This is totally an option. It is an option that it will end in Iran, but it will continue in Lebanon, because in Lebanon we had a year and a half to understand that the Lebanese government is not doing what it has to do. And you know, I saw the statements that came out of the Lebanese government, but I want to see deeds. The statements are not enough.
طيب، اليوم وزير الدفاع الإسرائيلي إسرائيل كاتس قال إن الولايات المتحدة تدعم العملية العسكرية الإسرائيلية في داخل إيران. برأيك ما هو التنسيق بين إسرائيل وبين الولايات المتحدة فيما يتعلق بلبنان؟ والصورة هنا مختلفة تماما يعني عن إيران.
The United States is not involved in our attacks in Lebanon, but there is full coordination around the goals and around the strategy. I think that also before the current campaign, we've seen this in the news. Thomas Barak said very clearly that he understands that Israel will have to escalate the situation here, since Hezbollah and the Lebanese government are not, nobody's disarming Hezbollah, and the expectations were not met, and we were all disappointed from what is happening. So nobody should be surprised from what we are doing now. I think that nobody is truly surprised inside Lebanon. And to be honest, I believe that many people in Lebanon are welcoming what Israel is doing with all the damages, because everybody understands that since the Lebanese government is not willing to clash with Hezbollah, and since Hezbollah is not willing to voluntarily disarm, the only way to do it is the way we are doing it now.
طيب، نحن تحدثنا عن الطرف اللبناني، لكن دعينا ننتقل إلى السكان في الطرف الإسرائيلي. أنت من سكان شمالي إسرائيل، ومن هنا من خلفنا نحن نشاهد لبنان. كيف تقييمك للسكان الذين يعيشون هنا؟ هل هم بعد سنتين ونيف من الحرب، هل هم بحالة تعب، بحالة قلق؟ كيف تصفين صورة أو مشاعر السكان في المنطقة الشمالية في هذه الأيام؟
It's very, very different, our situation today, than what it used to be back then in October 2023. In October 2023, we were afraid to have the terrorists in our living room. Hezbollah, we knew that Hezbollah was fully prepared on the borderline and fully armed on the borderline, and it was just a matter of decision to enter to our communities. And in 2023, Hezbollah launched daily attacks of anti-tank missiles that I've mentioned from Lebanon into the border communities here. Today, we understand that Hezbollah is launching rockets. We understand it is launching a lot of drones. We have a lot of sirens here. But the feeling is that IDF is doing what it has to do. And the feeling is that Hezbollah is not at the border. As I've said, they may be infiltration, but not with thousands of warriors that will cross, of terrorists that will cross the border. That's not the situation. And that's why communities were not evacuated. We are here. We are strong. With all the difficulties, we are experiencing a lot of difficulties, but we know that we are changing the Middle East. And what Israel and the United States are doing now, we are doing a favor to all the people of the Middle East. Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, the Iranians themselves. We are doing something right, and we all believe in this.
طيب، هذا ادعاء مثير للجدل، البعض يوافق معك، البعض الآخر لا يوافق. لكن دعينا في سؤال أخير نتطرق إلى مسألة السيناريوهات المطروحة. ما هو بتقييمك السيناريوهات المطروحة من خلال الحرب الحالية؟ حتى هذه الساعة لا نستمع إلى أي ضغوطات على إسرائيل بالتوقف في هذه العملية العسكرية. هل يمكن أن تستمر هذه العملية إلى فترة طويلة مثلا؟
I hope not. I think that Israel, as far as it was planned, didn't plan to go for a month into Lebanon. It can last a few weeks. We are prepared for that. But it depends also in a lot of strategic questions. What will happen in Iran? For how long the Americans will give us the leverage? How much success we're going to gain? Boots on the ground? How much weapons we're going to find if we enter furthermore into the towns over there in Lebanon? So there are many open questions here that we don't know how long it's going to last. But again, I can tell you that from our side of residents of the North, we are telling the IDF, please finish the job, bring us not de-escalation. This is a motorbike. Okay. It's a motorbike. This time finish the job. This time don't leave any weapons in the hands of Hezbollah that is threatening us. Bring us not only de-escalation, bring us peace. And I hope that the Lebanese on the other side understand that this is what we want, this is what we're looking for. And once Hezbollah is gone, there is so much place for collaboration and for joint businesses. And I dream of the day that I will be able to accompany groups of tourists that will come to visit northern Israel and South Lebanon and maybe even Beirut and we'll have joint ventures together.
ربما هذا قد يحدث لاحقا. السيدة سريت زهافي، ضابطة سابقة في الاستخبارات العسكرية في قيادة المنطقة الشمالية وحاليا المديرة العامة لمركز ألما للدراسات، شكرا جزيلا لك على هذا الحوار.
شكرا.